Hey guys, Scott here. I just spent way too much time analyzing Demogorgon, how he works, how his power works, and how Rat Liver works, and I've come to the conclusion that Rat Liver may be the most overrated add-on in the entirety of Dead by Daylight. So the reason I made this video is people freaked out about the nerf on it, which I don't think it needed. So everyone freaked out about it. They say, oh, Demo's dead. You can't play him at Shack, or you can't play him in any structures anymore. He needed Rat Liver. And then as soon as they changed it, basically they reverted the change and made it so he's a bit faster at baseline and nerfed Rat Liver. So it's basically the same thing now if you have the add-on. Everyone was like, oh my god, thank god. Demogorgon saves. Thank you, devs. It's okay, so people think Rat Liver is a godsend. People that play Demogorgon for some reason think this add-on is a godsend. And I've never really seen it. I don't really use this add-on, and I don't even notice a difference when I use it. And I've come to the conclusion, after doing all this math, that basically Rat Liver only helps you if you're holding your charge for a very long amount of time, like 4 or 5 seconds. The only times you would ever do that are like in the open to like bait out a hit. You're not like walking around loops just holding your shit. There's no reason to do that because why would you ever do that? So it seems like Rat Liver is only for people. It only feels good when you're playing Demogorgon not very efficiently. And I'm going to go over the math and everything and how this all works to show you with visual examples of how that is the case, because I actually learned a lot of stuff about Demogorgon. First main thing that completely fucked up all my math and I had to redo all of this, I did not realize that Demogorgon doesn't slow down for a very long time until he can actually begin his lunge. So how Of the Abyss works is, you know, like when he like gets his hands ready to lunge, for the majority of that time, if you're doing a quick lunge, you aren't slowed down at all. You still move at 115. You move the exact same movement speed, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I have 2 clips here. Here, let me get a better example here. I have 2 clips here, and I layered them on top of each other. You can see these are 2 separate clips in the exact same spot, in the exact same map position. There's some variations in the fog, and, you know, this tree is like a millimeter closer. I'm not a robot. I can't perfectly mimic the exact area, but you can tell these are in the exact same spot. So let's go through various points of this and compare the distance. So let's go here first, and let's compare. Well, no difference. Still, we're in the exact same distance. If you look at the grass here, these bars here, they're in, virtually the exact same spot. We haven't really had any difference change with distance moved. So let's go even further. Let's go to here. Now, again, no difference. You look at the grass, look at the bars, look at every other thing that indicates distance lost or gained. There is absolutely zero difference between charging your power and not charging your power so far this whole time. And right up until we get up to about half a second, there's still no difference. It's still pretty much exactly the same. The grass in the exact same spot, bars in the exact same spot. Now, finally, when we get to a half of a second, now you can actually see a difference. And I'll show you here. Now you can tell you've begun slowing down. So you can see the bars. Look at the bars in the grass. When you are using your power, which is this one, you're a tiny, tiny bit further back compared to this. And you have to look at things, right next to you, or you would never notice. Like if you look at this bush, you can't even tell the difference. But if you look at the walls and the grass, at about a half a second, that is when you actually start to slow down. And then from here on out, then yeah, there's going to be a bit of a difference gain. And, that's showing you that at about half a second is when you actually begin to slow down. Now, it only takes 0.65 seconds to do a quick lunge, which means if you're frame perfect, then, you're only slowed down for 0.15 seconds. So in that scenario, Rat Liver actually does nothing. Rat Liver is useless for the first half of your charge, basically, which is huge, and I didn't know that. So, but that's kind of an unrealistic scenario. Like, no one's going to do a frame perfect 0.65 second charge where Rat Liver is meaningless because people are not robots. And also, that's often not what you want to do. Sometimes you want to hold your power for a bit to have the threat of your power, and then you fake it, and you get sort of that free zoning thing that I'm not a fan of, but that is what it is. So, it's not always a good idea to do that. So, let's do a more realistic example of holding your charge for, like a full second. And in that scenario, so with Rat Liver, you're moving at 4.04 meters per second. Without Rat Liver, while you're holding that, and you actually are in the slowdown portion of it, remember that this is only the latter half of it because you're not slowed down the first part. You're moving at 3.68 meters a second. This is before the actual buff that they're going to do. I'm just talking about current Rat Liver at the time of making this video. So the difference there is 0.36 meters a second, which is very, very small. To help you visualize what 0.36 meters a second is, it's basically, and this is not exact, but in terms of distance, it would be, so, it's basically, God, it's like, if you do a survivor moving at 4 meters a second, it's basically like what? Maybe this? This is, not exact. I'm just trying to give you a visualization. It's basically like here to here. It's essentially nothing. So that is the actual distance differential between rat liver and not rat liver if you're charging it for a full second. And even if you charge it for 2 seconds, you're walking around with your power charged for 2 seconds for some reason. I mean, it happens. Like, maybe you want to break a pallet or something, whatever. So that is possible. Even then, it's only a 0.54 meter difference, which is very tiny considering the survivor runs 4 meters in a second. That is, fractions of a fraction of a second, which I will say maybe like 2% of the time, it might be the difference between a hit and not a hit. But the vast majority of the time, you shouldn't be holding your power that long. There's no reason to do that. And people always give me the example of Shaq. Well, rat liver makes Shaq so much easier to play. And let's go into that exact scenario of how rat liver actually doesn't help you with Shaq whatsoever. So the whole point is when you're rounding that corner to go into the doorway, the survivor is going to take the window or take the pallet. So you want to fully charge your power as you're rounding the corner so you are an immediate threat. You can tackle both options that the survivor has. And that's why people like rat liver, because you move faster while you're doing it. But it only takes you a second to get to that full charge. And for half of that full charge, you're moving at full speed, so rat liver is not even doing anything. So accounting for that half a second where you're not even slowed down, it's only a 0.18 meter difference between rat liver and no rat liver if you're doing a full charge and holding it for a second, which is really the main part that's important. And this is the whole point I'm trying to make here. Yes, it is obvious that rat liver is more beneficial the longer you hold your power. But for example, in Shaq, you don't have to be holding your power that long. And people are going to say, well, yeah, but what if they fake the win or something like that? You got to hold it to... Okay, but let me get to that actual point. I don't know why I'm talking like you're interrupting me. It's a fucking video. All right, so you charge and get your fully charged thing into the doorway at essentially the exact same time that a person without rat liver does. The whole point is you become a threat in the exact same, not the exact same, a 0.04 second difference amount of time as a person with or without rat liver. So essentially you get into the doorway at the exact same point with your power charged. From this point onwards, it doesn't matter that you move a little bit slower without the add-on, because the only options the survivor has in this scenario is to take the window or take the pallet. That's the only two things they can do. If they just take neither, they just get hit because they're just standing in the shack not doing anything. So the only important part about the slowdown is getting into that position at the same time, which with or without rat liver, you're getting into that position into the exact same amount of time. Rat liver is doing nothing for you there. What it does do is when you actually enter the doorway and your power is fully charged, now as you're walking towards the survivor, well, yeah, you're a little bit faster, but who cares at that point? It doesn't matter because they have to take the window or they have to take the pallet. They have to choose. Moving slightly faster as they make that choice doesn't do anything. If they take the window, you're going to be able to hit them because you move at 480% movement speed in your shred. You're going to hit them if you're playing the shot correctly and you're within that distance. If you're not within that distance and you are not actually going to be able to hit them with your shred because they are too far away, rat liver would have no impact on that whatsoever. You are still going to miss without it. So in that scenario, in Shaq, rat liver is doing nothing because the only important part is getting your power charged and in position so the survivor is forced to make a choice. Once you're in that position, it doesn't matter that you move slower because you're just moving slower towards them while they're waiting to make a choice. If they start running towards the pallet, then, obviously you just begin your lunge. You don't even have to, you can wait until they're right at the pallet so they can't even juke left or right anymore. You'll still hit them and probably get the pallet too. Same thing goes for the window. I don't know if people are aware of this, but fast vaults have a small vacuum animation, which indicates they cannot fake it anymore. All you have to do is wait for that little tiny vacuum animation and you'll still hit them before they can get through. Rat liver helps in none of these scenarios. It's pointless. It doesn't do anything. And it's like that for almost every tile. L-wall, T-wall, for example. As you're rounding a corner, you're still going to round the corner in basically the exact same point because you're not slowed down for the first half a second of it. So you're still going to round the corner in the exact same way, and you're still going to be in the same position where if they take the vault, then you can hit them as they're vaulting. If they fake it, you can cancel the power or just hit them or follow them further. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get your free hit there. And if they take the vault and you were out of range, Rat Liver wouldn't have made a difference anyway. You were just too far away to do it, so it doesn't do anything. So the whole thing that changed all this for me was not realizing that you don't slow down for the first basically half of your lunge. And that's if you're doing a fully charged lunge. If you're doing a quick lunge, it's like the majority of it, you're not even slowed down. So because of this discovery, Rat Liver actually doesn't do that much for you. And I don't know if my math is wrong here. I don't see how it is wrong. I'm just plugging in basic numbers here. But if I'm missing something, please show me. But it seems like in all of these scenarios, Rat Liver doesn't do anything. It's not actually, it's just a placebo. It just feels nicer while you're holding your power. But if you're already at a point where you're holding your power like that, it's because you're in a position where you can already hit them. And the survivor is being forced to make a choice. At which point you can just keep moving closer until they're locked in the animation of their choice. So I don't get it. Why do people think Rat Liver is so good? It in these scenarios, it doesn't do anything. Again, maybe I'm missing something. I feel like I'm taking I've been like fucking Pepe Sylvia writing on the walls, like, what, Rat Liver, what is it? It doesn't seem to actually do that much unless you're a bad Demogorgon that just runs around an entire loop with your hands up in the air, which you just shouldn't do. So yeah, let me know if I'm missing something here, but it seems to be not that impactful at all. And I think it's incredibly overrated. So please prove me wrong. I find this stuff very interesting. I'm not trying to be an asshole here. Just please prove me wrong. I would love to see it. That is it, guys. See ya.